95.5 KLOS and KLOS HD1, Los Angeles.
Gary Moore here inside the catacombs of the KLOS studios to welcome star of stage, screen, and his own comedy club, Mr. Jon Lovitz. Welcome.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
So, what's the name of your comedy club?
Jon Lovitz Comedy Club.
How did you come up with that name?
Podcast Theater. Well, it wasn't easy, but it started at, it's a Universal City walk in in Studio City or Universal City in Los Angeles. And anyway, I met with them and they wanted me to, use my name. So I did.
Has fabulous cachet. Now, one of the reasons he's here, because not just because we like him and he's a major star, is that you're performing at your own comedy club Saturday, June 8th, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which would be tomorrow night.
Yes.
But you're going to be coming back? Are you going to do some other stuff there?
I'm there, and then I'm going to be there June 29th. I'm doing a podcast live on stage called Lovitz or Leavitz, and my first guest will be Dana Carvey. And it should be very interesting, just talking about performing and comedians and politics and how that affects your act and whatever else, talking about Dana's career and just different things, stuff going on in life.
Can people show up for that and applaud?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You got to buy tickets, but it's like a live show. But a lot of these podcasts are doing them on stage and selling tickets, so it's a lot of fun.
Now, you're a local LA guy, born and bred here, correct?
Yeah, I grew up in the Valley in Encino and Tarzana, and I was in Encino and Tarzana Little League, and where did I go to school? I went to Nestle Avenue, Hesby Street School, Willabra Avenue, Portola Junior High, and then I went to Harvard High School, which is now Harvard Westlake.
Right.
And then I went to UC Irvine as a drama major for 4 years, and then it was about 7 years before I started working.
You're an anteater and a groundling.
Correct.
Working with Phil Hartman. The Tommy character, that came from the Groundlings? That was a sketch character?
Well, I started doing it there. Yeah, there's a friend of mine, a girl I was crazy about. So she'd say, I like a guy with a fat wallet. And I'd say, well, my dad just had 15 oil wells come in. And then I'd say, well, I'm a pathological liar. And then, people, unfortunately become alcoholics and they go to AA meetings. And you hear, they're at AA, and they say their name, I'm Joe, and I'm an alcoholic, and they tell their story. So I had an idea one day. That would be funny if there was a Pathological Liars Anonymous, and a guy got up and started telling a story, and then I go, he would just start lying about it. And then it just made me laugh. So I did it as a panel, like 2 questions, and then I wrote it up as a monologue, and got in the Groundlings in September of 84, and in January of 85 we had a new show, and I was doing my liar character. And anyway, we got great reviews in the Hollywood Reporter. Next thing you know, Jim McCauley, who books the Tonight Show, booked the Groundlings, and I remember it was a Sunday, and everybody's leaving messages on my answering machine from the Groundlings saying congratulations, congratulations, and I have no idea what they're talking about. And on Monday I called the artistic director, Tom Maxwell, and I said, what's going on? Everybody's congratulating me, but they're not saying for what. He goes, you don't know? I'm like, no, what? He goes, we're going on the Tonight Show. He goes, who? He goes, you. And you're doing your liar character, and Tim Stack and you are doing the truck driving piece, and Don Woodard and Mindy Sterling and Kate Benton are doing the white man's rap. I'm like, what? I go, we're going on the Tonight Show when? He goes, Thursday. I go, Thursday? And I was just in shock. And I go, are you kidding? He goes, no. Because it was just, a small piece I did. And half the time it worked, half the time it didn't. And the Groundlings is a little theater. It's 99 seats, which is nothing,
I was a student
It's a fantastic place, but the theater's so small. They go, you're doing that, and now you're going on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I just couldn't believe it. And it was still one of the highlights of my life. Just a huge jump, And that got me an agent, and I got auditions, and got movies with Charles Grodin, and he recommended me to Saturday Night Live, and Lorraine Newman was in the Groundlings and in the original cast, and she saw me in a show that summer that Phil Hartman was starring in of his character.
Nick Danger? Was that the Nick Danger
Chick
one?
Hazard is called.
Chick Hazard.
So it was part of the Olympic Arts Festival, and they did this show, and I got to understudy and did 4 shows. And my first show I did, this Chick Hazard character, Lorraine Newman came, and she brought John Travolta. She was doing that movie Perfect with him, and she came backstage and said, well, how long have you been doing the show? And I said, well, this is my first night. She goes, yeah, right. No, really, how long? I go, no, this is my first night. And she got mad. She goes, would you stop joking
She thought you
around?
were
She said, how long?
really lying.
I said, no, I'm not lying. I'm telling you, this was my first night. I'm understudying the part. It was my first night. And she went, what? And anyway, I impressed her, and she befriended me. She's great. So I always give credit to her and Charles Grodin because they recommended me to Lorne Michaels, and that really helped me get Saturday Night Live. And then my agent was Mike Eisenstadt, and he said, well, I'm going to submit you for Saturday Night Live. And I said, oh, shut up. And he said, no, I'm serious. And I said, I have a better idea. Why don't I land on Pluto? And he goes, no, I'm serious. I'm going to submit your tape. I go, well, go ahead. I go, you're ridiculous. And he kept talking about it. I said, I don't want to hear about it. I go, just stop. Because to me, it was Pluto. It was like Pluto. It was another world. And I never thought I'd get the show. I couldn't believe I got it when I did. I just couldn't believe it.
Did you go there to audition, or did he come out here to watch you, or both?
Well, first, Jim McCauley, who had booked us on The Tonight Show, he recommended me to Fred Weissman. Fred Weissman was a dentist, and he was in charge of casting Saturday Night Live out of Los Angeles. And, it was 1985, the summer of 85, and Lorne Michaels was coming back to the show after being gone 5 years. And the year before, it was Billy Crystal and Martin Short and Christopher Guest and everyone else. And then they all left, and Lorne goes, I want to pick a whole new cast. And so I met... So Fred Weissman saw me, and I said, how'd you hear about me? He goes, Jim McCauley said you were the best sketch comic in L.A. He goes, I'm a dentist. I don't know anybody. I just got the job. I go, you're kidding. He goes, no. He was a very nice man. He goes, I didn't know anybody. So I asked Jim. I go, he said I was the best? And I'm thinking, well, what about Phil Hartman and Tim Stack and Lynn Stewart and Tress MacNeille? I mean, those were the people we all looked up to, And... But anyway, so then he liked me, so I met Al Franken and Tom Davis, and they liked me. And then I got this movie with Charles Grodin, and we were shooting on Catalina Island, and they said, Lorne wants to meet you on a Wednesday. And Charles Grodin liked me in the movie, so he kept sticking me in more and more scenes. So he, on his own, I hardly knew him. He just, I just met him in the movie. I knew him like 2 weeks. I didn't really know him, but he was nice, and we, we're doing a movie. So he recommended me to Lorne on his own. I couldn't believe it. So that really, he said, can you meet this kid on Friday? You should take a good hard look at this kid. And Lorne's going, who is this guy? Everybody keeps calling, So then I met Lorne, and he said, how old are you? I said 28. And he goes, oh. He goes, Bill Murray was 28 when he got the show. That's a good age. He goes, that's a good age. Billy Murray was he said Billy Murray. I'm like, oh. I thought, do I have the job? And then, Lorne years later said, didn't you know you had the job then? And I said, I thought maybe when you said that, but I wasn't sure. And then they ended up flying us to New York. And I was on a plane with, sitting next to Dennis Miller and Damon Wayans. They flew out. We were all unknown, and we all got the show. But originally, I was supposed to do Weekend Update, and then a week later, after I got there, they hired Dennis to do it. Lorne goes, don't worry, you'll have plenty to do. But these two guys from Boston, they kept saying, no, just do it straight. Don't try to be funny. So I don't think they liked me, so they hired Dennis. And... But anyway, it all worked out, and Damon got the show as a feature player. We were all completely unknown and dead broke, and I don't think Damon was dead broke. He had 4 kids at the time. And I met this kid. He goes, this is Damon Jr. He was like, I think, 4 years old. Now he's 27 and on these shows. I go, that's that little kid I met in that hotel room.
It was 7 seasons you were on, wasn't it 7?
5.
5?
Yeah, from 85 to 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it go by fast?
Not at the time.
Was it intense?
Very intense, very competitive, very thrilling, very hard, 80 hours a week. You're writing, it was exhausting, but it was thrilling.
Competitive in the sense of who was going to get their material on or their characters on every week?
Right, because read-through was on Wednesday, and you'd have 30 to 40 sketches. 8 made it on air. They'd pick 14. So out of the 30 to 40, it was usually about 40, so that's cutting.
So what's involved with that?
26.
Do you schmooze Lorne? Do you schmooze
26 got cut. Then you had 14. Then 6 more get cut, which is an hour of show. No, I don't know. That didn't help. You just did your best and hopefully got on. But there would be people, writers, trying to get your stuff off, and it was very competitive.
Lauren had the final call, the final say on everything.
Oh, yeah. But he would listen. Jim Downey was the head writer, and Al Franken, and, was there. And so he kind of, he conferred with them, and they would decide together. But he had final say, but they would decide together,
Which helped you more, the theater degree or Groundlings?
Well, they were both tremendous help, because the theater, I learned about acting. I didn't know anything. And then after that, I had a class with Tony Barr, who was a CBS executive, and he taught a class called the Film Actors Workshop. So Irvine was just stage. So a friend of mine, Mike Sabatino, graduated before me, and I go, what do we do next? He goes, well, I think we should learn film, LA's film. So he was at the Film Actors Workshop. I had no idea what to do before I graduated college. So I went there, and it was great, and I really learned about film acting, which is very different. And then the Groundlings, I learned how to, create characters and write sketches. So, they both were very important. But I wouldn't have, gotten the show without the Groundlings, but I wouldn't have been able to do all the different styles that they do without Irvine. So they both were, tremendous help, and everything I learned from all three of those places I use,
So when you're going to be doing your show, is it like the straight stand-up that we've come to see from people at the quote-unquote the standard stand-up model, or do you incorporate some of the characters and kind of like...
No, I tried doing my characters at first in my stand-up show from Saturday Night Live, but they didn't work. Even though when I say it now, I can't believe I was on that show. I was blown away every day. I was just like, I can't believe I'm here. And but I loved doing it. But at times I hated it, and it would get me off because it was so competitive, and
after
a lot of games, and a lot of mental games. But I'm thrilled that I was on it, and I have a career because of that show. I'll say to Lauren, thank you for giving me my dream, because it was like a dream, and then it still is. So I don't take any job for granted. But my stand-up, I started trying to do my characters. It didn't work. So my act it's just really me and my sense of humor, and as opposed to doing a character. And it's, I just make fun of myself, sex, politics, religion. I play the piano. I sing funny songs. I tell jokes. It's whatever I think of funny. And I realize I've been doing it now 10 years, and I realize stand-up is really, it's an expression of your sense of humor, however you want to express that. And Dana Carvey's, we became very, close friends, and he's a great stand-up. And he gave me great advice. He said, have fun. And he goes, there's no rules. So as long as they're laughing, you can do whatever you want. And there's certain stand-ups in the beginning that, well, that's not a real stand-up. You should do this or you should do that. And it's a bunch of crap. You can do anything,
As long as the end result is laughter.
Yeah, as long as they laugh. But to me, there'll be stand-ups that go, no, it's this and this. And I go, but you're not funny. I go, what's the point? You're supposed to be stand-up comedy. Comedy meaning you're making the audience laugh, and you're doing all these things, but it's not funny. So what's the point of that? It baffles me.
When I was in the Groundlings studying with Phyllis Katz and some other folks there, they said, don't go for the joke. You'll become funny organically.
Phyllis was one of my teachers. Well, what happens, and Randy Bennett, they were my teachers at the Groundlings. Well, what you learn in improv is you just get into the scene and you say whatever pops in your head. You listen to the person, and then it's just like we're having this conversation now. I just listen to what you say, I think about it, and I just say something. Right. And usually if you try to be funny, you're thinking ahead, and you're not listening to what the person says. Right. And the thing is, they're labeling you like, they say, all right, you're a nuclear scientist, and lights out, and then you just go. Well, you don't have time to go like, what's a nuclear scientist? You just got to go with your instincts. And if you just go off what the other person says, whatever pops in your head, and play it straight, it's going to be funny, because you just can't think that fast,
Right. And
if you're trying to make jokes, the scene becomes about you trying to be jokey as opposed to the scene, and you just get into it, and it's going to be funny, because, if you're a person who has a sense of humor and you express yourself that way, it's going to come out. But you don't even have to try to be funny. You just try to be really specific about being, like, say, a nuclear physicist. And most comedians, as myself, don't know anything about a nuclear physicist. So you're making stuff up specifically. It's just going to be funny because it's just going to be ridiculous.
Exactly, which is the whole idea. Is anybody else performing with you on tomorrow night's show?
Al Del Bene. He's a great comic, and he's a. I did a stand-up special on Showtime called Jon Lovitz Presents. I got to pick 4 comedians, and Al was one of them, and he's very, very funny. So I don't like having a lot of different comics in front of me, so he's kind of hosting. He's doing about 25 minutes, and then I'll come out and do my act, and it's fun. I enjoy it. You know.
Where do you find comics? Or do you scout around, or they come in and audition for you?
Well, we have open mic night, but they were performing at my club, or else when I'm on the road, they have every club has their own comics that they like to use, and you meet them that way. And I admire those guys because I struggled as an actor, but I mean, what they do is like they'll drive in their car, do one job, then get in their car, drive another, 8 hours, do another this, and there's all these different circuits all over the country, and they do this, and they tell me about it. I'm thinking, man, that just sounds like hell. I don't know how they do it. It's very tough, but that's how you got to get up on stage, and the same with acting. You can learn what to do, but the main thing is just to keep getting up and doing a lot of scenes or doing a lot of stand up. You just get up and learn from each show, and then carry that forward what you learned into the next show, and that's the main thing. It's anything like that. It's practice.
Jon Lovitz at his own comedy club. You got to go see this tomorrow night, Saturday night, and again for the podcast on June
29th.
June 29th with Dana Carvey. Saturday night up at Universal City Walk. Thank you, Jon Lovitz.
Thank you.